of Elijah, declaring the word of the Lord.
When they say burnout, people think it's a medical condition. And it's really not. It is more a social condition.
Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun, at the trumpet call.
This is our 5th time interacting with you, and today we are looking at the issue of burning out. You're very, very welcome, and we hope that you will join us as we discuss amongst ourselves, because we are here to support you, to help you even as we learn about the different topics we come up with. You're very, very welcome, and I'm introducing you to Mrs. Harriet Ositi, who is going to be our moderator this evening.
It's always a pleasure to have you who on the call. It's always a pleasure to have some of us here to discuss issues that we think are pertinent to each one of us. So welcome everybody and good evening. So our topic today is burnout. And we're just sharing amongst ourselves before we come on the call that we don't want to be burnt out until we are ashes. That's why we are right here. That's why we are right here. And with us is somebody we've already met, Mrs. Angelina Kimemjini.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you. And we have a guest, Dr. Emmanuel Mwesiga. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
About this topic.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You're very welcome. Would like to start with you, Angelina. Yes. You heard this word burnout. Tell us a little bit about your experience with this elephant in the room, this monster, I don't know what to call it. What is the experience with burnout?
Thank you, Harriet, and thank you for encouraging me to speak, because sometimes when we have topics like this, you do not want to be the one who is a case study. But I think I have always been busy doing one thing or another, and I would like to be Mary, to sit quietly at the feet of Jesus. But I find that in life I'm actually a Martha. I am only still when I am tired. When I am completely tired, then time to sleep. But even when I'm quiet, either I'm listening to something, writing something, checking on someone, or doing something. When we discuss this topic of being burnt out, I reflected on what I had gone through, and as I grow, I have taken on a number of leadership positions, and I realized that I had actually been burnt out, and I pulled out some of the things that stood out for me. What happens when I'm burnt out, because I think it has happened more than once, is that I found I was finding difficulty completing tasks that were easy to do at first. All of a sudden, something that's like a mole becomes a huge mountain. I found that I was losing interest in something that I was originally passionate about. All of a sudden, you just lost interest. It's no longer interesting. And something else was that all those who know me, there's a bishop who met me one day, we lived near each other. He said, "Hey, Angelina, I remember you on campus, moving very fast, very fast, very fast."
And now you were
and now I was beginning to drag my feet socially. So I have a strong social battery. When I am burnt out, socially it becomes difficult for me to connect. I withdraw. So I was the kind of person, even in my area where I live, when neighbors would come, even if I didn't know them, I'd be the one to go and welcome. And if people were sick, I'm the first to check on them. If people are in hospital, I'm there. But I learned that whenever I'm burnt out, my battery starts blinking. Flip, flip, I can't do anything. Even the things I really would love to do, see the people I really want to see. I love going to see my parents every week or every 6 weeks if I travel, and I find that it's so far. It's not that it's far.
Your home has moved.
Yes, it's like the home has moved from where it is on Gaza Road to Lugazi. So that's my experience with burnout, and that's why for me this is very important. I'm happy to share so I may be helped and hopefully help someone else who is listening.
Thank you, Angelina. It is clear your experience with burnout is not to do with how much you have been doing or how much you find on your plate or the tasks before you. I don't know about you, Dr. Pofia. Do you relate with that? That for you, burnout is because you have too much to do, especially as a leader. And you know, for us leaders, work always falls into our lap. Even when we don't ask for it, it finds its straight way to our laps. What is your experience? How do you see burnout for you?
I don't know if I've ever been burned to ashes. It's maybe the doctor will let us know. It's probably for me a matter of deep exhaustion. When, as a leader, I don't even want those that I'm leading to ask me any questions. I don't want anybody to tell me to do anything. I just want to curl up somewhere and just be myself. But it doesn't last long. After a short period of time, a day or two, I am up and about. So I don't know if it's burnout, whether it's just me being me, I don't know. But that's my experience with it.
Yes. You know, just sharing before we came on the call about a health crisis I got recently. And talking to the doctor, it looks like he was telling me, you need to slow down. You're doing too much. And maybe, Dr. Emmanuel, you can be able to let us know, in your view as a medical personnel, the technical part, because we are talking as lay people, how would you identify burnout? What would it be for you as a doctor when somebody comes to you and you say, that is burnout?
Okay, thank you. I think from what everyone has said, we sort of like have descriptions of burnout. Wanting to be alone, not wanting anyone to, doing too much, feeling your battery is low. I think we should start from the beginning. There's a lot of conversation about mental health. So when we talk, and because I'm a psychiatrist, when they say burnout, people think it's a medical condition. And it's really not. It is more a social condition. Because work is very important for life, okay? And burnout is more in the workspace. It is not being able to do what you're supposed to do in the workspace. So sometimes they say three things. She has alluded to it. One, you're emotionally disengaged. Then you're cynical.
So you say it was burnt out, right?
Then you're cynical. Everything is bad, right? So emotionally, ideally a workplace is supposed to be a place where you're happy. You're earning some money, you're doing things, but you go there and you're not feeling the place, as they say. You don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to be there. So emotionally, you're disengaging. The cynicism is more being negative. The color is wrong, the laptop is slow, the arrangements, the food is bad, okay? And then the last part is then you become ineffective.
Okay.
Because work is also stressful, and it's meant to be stressful.
Really?
Yes, work is meant to be stressful, but you're supposed to be resilient, okay? So every day it should be challenging. Actually, later when we talk about some of the types of burnout, you'll find that you can get burnt out from being underutilized.
Wow.
Yes, you can be underutilized and burn out, right? So work is supposed to be challenging and exciting. You should enjoy going to work, okay? But as you manage that stress and the challenges every day, okay? It shouldn't reach a point where you become disengaged, cynical and ineffective. So I think that's burnout.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a quote by, I can't remember who said it, who said, it's not the load that is heavy, it is how you carry it. And I think what he was saying is that the same load can be more stressful for one person than the other. So I might be here saying, I want to do Apofia's work, and yet I find myself unable to do it. How can we gauge how much we can handle so that we don't end up burning out? How are we able to say, okay, this place, like the young people say, is toxic? It's a toxic environment. What are the indicators for me to know I need to come out of this space, I need to work on this, and not get to a point where I have to come and see you?
So I think we should not disregard the young people. The young people are a bit more aware about life that we give them credit for. So young people will not be in a toxic environment. They, so you see jokes on Twitter. Someone says this job is not 3 million as a starting salary. Off they go, right? So young people are a bit more aware of what is required to prevent burnout. I think we need to give them that. They go to a job expecting certain bare minimums, and they expect those bare minimums to be met, and they look out for them, and they are very vocal when they are not there. Other generations are not exactly like that. So we are unhappy in a place, we are not being acknowledged, we are being undervalued, but we say no, we have to, we stay for 10 years,
I
right?
take it as resilience. I take it like the young generation are more butterfly-like, whereas the older generation can stay and try.
Yeah, but resilience does not mean get broken.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we confuse things. So people, and then that's what you asked. So where is the balance? Okay. And at the end of the day, that's why I said burnout is about work. Work is what makes you, what gives you a living, what satisfies you, what fulfills you, what gives you purpose to wake up in the morning, what gives you purpose. And many times we don't know what those things are. And that's why I said we need to be very careful to assume that burnout is just working too much. Burnout can also be not working enough in terms of your mindset, in your capacity. Yeah. So I gave you an example when we were off air. If burnout started, the research started in healthcare workers, and I gave an example of at least from my training, when you study and then you go on the ward, you think you're going to change the world, and then they tell you, okay, collect that sample and walk to the lab and wait there for blood and bring it back as other people are saving patients. And that's very draining. And it happens now in many spaces. You have seen people who go and I think I saw it a bit when I traveled. People who go, you just wake up and you're just supposed to appear at work. And your job is to be present. Your job, no one asks you what you think, right? No one asks you, is this a good, that's very stressful. So now they're in the workplace, yes, they're working, okay? But they're being resilient. They have
And they're being paid.
they are being paid. Yes, they are being resilient. They have sat in. But at the end of the day, they say, "But what did I achieve today?" Okay. So on one hand, there are those who are working too much, doing too many things. Okay, like many people here. But on the other end of the spectrum, there are those who are not being utilized to their potential. Both can lead to burnout. So I think it just needs a balance.
It needs a balance, and I think it goes back to who we are created to be. Exactly. I think we are created to work and get fulfillment from the work that we do.
Yes.
I think that's a God-given gift.
Yes.
I know you said the workplace, but I'm just thinking, I mean, we come from families and we are mothers. You say that mothers in our home are the donkeys, and the husbands ride those donkeys, and they're happy. But would you feel that even as mothers, as wives, you can get burnout just in the home? You talked about the workplace. What about in our homes? Is it possible for us to get burnout even in the home? Because you talked about not feeling worthy, not feeling that you are appreciated. But what do you think?
I believe we can be burnt out. Dr. Gain will guide us. I am thinking of emotional burnout at home, plus the workload burnout. especially if you are a mother who is working and also doing a lot of the domestic work. You're coming home, both of you, you're coming home, and him as the man is putting his feet up and reading his newspaper, and you're rushing into the kitchen to get him the glass of juice. He doesn't even say a thank you, and you're beginning to feel, oh. I think that can push you to being burnt out.
So that would push you to be stressed. What would push you to be burnt out is what you understand your role as. So me putting my feet up may stress you, okay? But if you assign that culturally as your role, that I'm supposed to give my husband juice, okay? And you feel fulfillment, okay? You feel you're achieving your purpose, you may not get burnt out, okay? And that's why in a workplace you have to have like terms of reference first. For you to discuss burnout, it's very important that you understand your terms of reference in the context. If you're not meant to serve the juice, okay? And in this context, your terms of reference are to supervise the checks, the bank balance, and now they're telling you, no, go and serve the juice. That's the context of burnout. So it's, what are my terms of reference, okay? Am I doing more? Am I doing less? Am I being acknowledged? Am I not being acknowledged? Am I getting fulfillment? Am I not getting fulfillment, okay? When I don't get those things, I become resilient. I say, okay, maybe tomorrow is a better day. And tomorrow it happens again, and the next day. And then it becomes stressful. So that's how not being fulfilled, chronic stress, burnout, that's how you progress.
Okay.
So people sometimes confuse burnout to be a corporate buzzword. So it can't happen on the farm, it can't happen in church leadership, it can't happen home, it can't. But as long as you understand that it starts with the employment work, it starts with what you're supposed to do, and then how you understand your role in that space, then you know that burnout is very possible.
In fact, you said something, let me just chip in with something small about the tea, serving the tea. When I was thinking about it, I said to myself, I don't mind serving the tea. Why? Because home is my priority. So I have found that I am less burnt out in places where I know my role. I know that I'm the mother, I am the wife, I am the colleague, so I don't mind doing anything in those tasks. I've found that I'm not burnt out at home generally. I'm burnt out when I'm underutilized, when I'm bored. When I think I should be doing one thing and instead I'm doing the reverse. And then I ask myself that question, but really today what did I do? What did I do today? Is this what I was wired to do? And it brings me to purpose as well. Is there something between a relationship between purpose and burnout?
I was actually about to ask that because I might be a person who feels fulfilled doing many things. And people have said to me, Harry, you do many things. I love to be in leadership, I love to be training, I love to be doing this. And when I look at my calendar or my plan for the day,
You're happy.
it is full.
You're happy about
And
it?
I'm happy about it. Does that mean that in that state, burnout is not a possibility for me?
So burnout is a possibility for you in case, so we have to be very careful, they are high achievers, okay? And you do something and you feel underutilized, so rather than trying to get value in that space, you add a role, okay? And the old literature says there were three types of people, three types of burnout, burnout in three types of people. There are those who, they underutilize and they take on more tasks. There are those who are underutilized and then they take on no task. And then there are those who just come and be present, but they are cynical and they are complaining and things like that. So if your calendar is full because it is actually supposed to be full, you probably won't get burnt out because you go this meeting, there's purpose, there's benefit, next meeting, okay? But if you have put there a meeting just such that people know you work late, right? Yeah.
Are there people who do that?
Yeah, so many of us.
They can be appreciated.
Yeah, many of us. You know, now like in my field, I think some of us put meetings. I think I'm guilty of sometimes of that. You have to be seen to be working.
Yes.
And for me, I think that's the most dangerous part of burnout. If you're trying to be seen to be working, so you're filling it with tasks that are not yours, tasks that are not beneficial, tasks that are not your purpose. Because you say, okay, they have told me to sweep the compound, but I'm better than sweeping the compound, right? So let me start cleaning the car, right? It's not really your task. So then they don't appreciate you cleaning the car, so you say, okay, now I will build a cut the grass. So you have many tasks that are actually not yours, and that's very important. So basic employment, terms of reference, and it also goes to your skill set. Yeah, because you can also get burnt out if your skill set is underutilized or overutilized. If you don't have the skills for a certain role and they keep adding you, or if you're too qualified for a certain role and they are not giving you. So I think it's possible.
And you know, we worked in the corporate field, and we've had those who, I would say, are subordinates, or we have people that we are in charge of. I don't know what we can do as leaders, where you find that you sense that particular people in your organization are burning out. How can we help them? Because I believe as a leader, it is your role to make sure that the people who are following you are utilized well, they're having purpose, they're happy in whatever they're doing. It's your role, it's your responsibility, as long as they're in the sphere of influence. So what can we as leaders, as managers, or whatever it is, those in authority, in your view, what can we do to make sure that they don't burn out? Because then they become less effective. Then you're telling them they're not working. Then you're telling them, you know, you're not doing this and the other. So what can we do you think that?
As a leader, I believe I need to understand the people that I'm leading, rooting in what Emma is telling us about. Do I understand their skill set? Do I understand their terms of reference? You know, sometimes people are recruited and you looked at somebody's terms of reference. When they came, as we go on, you no longer remember what you know the major role, but you don't know the other things that a person's role. We need to understand the people. We need to be able to interact with them regularly, to be able to identify those symptoms you are talking about. If I begin to see it, or even before I begin to see it, I should be able to prevent. As he's saying, I don't want to see those symptoms. If I continue interacting with you, I should be able to see, is this one satisfied with their role? Are the skill sets matching where we've positioned somebody? Should we be moving Angelina to tackle this thing and moving Jen from this thing to tackle what Angelina is doing based on my assessment of her skill set?
As long as you don't touch my salary. Move me, but don't touch my pay.
Move with the salary.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's what I think.
But we should be very careful to assume low salary equals burnout. And I think that's where we go wrong. So, as I said, I'm a psychiatrist. I don't really want to see patients. And that's why I'm here, because I feel if we manage chronic stress, we manage burnout, we prevent depression, I will work less. Okay? But we have this issue where we assume wealth equals protects you from so many things, but it's not. So we should be very careful saying burnout is always salary related, because it's not. And what we see in the clinic, or usually on news when people say someone may be wealthy or popular has gotten a mental health crisis, they equate wealth status to the and her point of salary is the same, is that you can get burnt out on a very big salary, on a very low salary. So Uganda, maybe the challenges salaries are generally low, so we always start from that point of view, okay? But even if the salary was adequate and the skill set is poor and things like that, then it would be what? It would be a challenge.
And I think I agree with you, because I've worked with a number of people, and it depends on what really motivates them. Some people are intrinsically motivated and others extrinsically. You know, the people who do work, and I have been in a position where I'm doing something, not because of how much I'm being paid, but because of my knowing that I'm fulfilled. I love this. They valued what I was doing. You know, they'll keep saying, "Harriet, you're doing a great job." And it was interesting when somebody asked me, "How much do you earn?" And I said, "What? You earn that amount of money for doing what you're doing?" I said, "Yeah, and I just love doing what I'm doing." It's not about the money. So I actually agree with you that we need to be a bit careful on that. But if Angelina is salary extrinsically motivated, please, we need to make sure if that's her self-worth. Because there are people whose self-worth is hinged on how much money they earn. And I've met people like that, where they feel...
And those won't get burnt out because they will move to where their salary meets the expectations, right? And when they move, but you see, they are not moving just because of the salary. They are moving because they believe, I as a person, because of X, Y, and Z, this is my worth.
Okay.
So in there's the discussion about what they think they are able to do as people. Okay. So if I feel that my skill set, the time I've put in studying, is worth X, then I will move where they're giving me that X. So it's more important that I am having an honest conversation about what my worth is and what my skill set is. So some of the times people get burnt out because their expectations are higher than actually what their skill set is. And they think they can do a lot, and when given the task, they are struggling, right? And then they say, okay, so I can't really do this, and then there's a phrase, what do people say, how they're faking it?
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
Fake it till you make it.
something like that.
Yeah. There's a question up there by, I think it's Dr. Jolie Beyeza. She says, when does someone realize that they're getting into burnout season? Is it that straightforward and clear? So how do I realize that, Harriet, you're moving into burnout? Is it that straightforward and clear?
But I think they said it. They said, they were. So she said she would not get exhausted at home, but would get exhausted at work. Probably home has more work. Okay. I think when you notice that you're complaining a lot. When you're complaining a lot, when you're negative. If you're negative from the time you wake up and until you go back to sleep, you're just negative, then that's an issue.
But that could be an issue of character as well. If I am by nature a negative person.
No, if it's new. If it's coming up,
yes.
yes. So you were passionate about work, you used to be the first one, etc. Then all of a sudden,
The last.
you're the last. You're complaining. So I've had a boss who calls me aside and says, no, you need to learn to say no. Because I am, as I said, I might be doing more things just to try and reach a level where I think I'm valued.
Yeah.
I might be doing many things because I'm trying to feel I'm valued. So I'm picking up more tasks that...
Thank you so much. This has been very enlightening. Personally, there are a lot of things I'm going to go back and think about, and I'm sure even those on the call will definitely be looking back into their own lives and in their own spaces of leadership to make sure that these things don't happen. Dr. Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
and,
having
and
me.
helping us to unpack this burnout issue. Angelina, Dr. Apofia, thank you so much. It has really been great being your host, and I do hope that we will be back here next month.
Yes.
And to everybody on the call, thank you so much for logging in and being with us, and we wish you a great week ahead. Make sure you don't get burnt out. We need you around. God bless.
God bless.
Holy God.